What's up, summoners? King Blair here. Today, for Top 5 Tuesday, we're going to be talking about the top 5 easiest heroes to build in Epic 7. So these are heroes that, for the most part, you can just give them the free sets and they're going to perform their jobs quite well. So while they may have higher ceilings and may be able to be stronger with better gear, they honestly can do their job for the most part with very little investment, and that makes them very nice for early game players to get and to use if you do have them. So if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Discord server, link down in the description. Without further ado, let's get right into it, starting with the only real honorable mention. And honestly, this unit could have probably been number 1, but I just didn't want to do it because it's a little boring and I didn't want to like go this route with the whole video. But it's going to be none other than Angie. This is kind of an idea to get you guys in the video. She's a unit you can legitimately slap on 6 pieces of the free health set and she will do her job perfectly as a frontline tank for Wyvern, right? And even for PvE, PvP, she'll be an annoying tank that is there. The reason she's not really on this list is because there's no real reason to build her. Unless you're like a very early game player and you really need a Wyvern frontliner, she can do that job quite well. But that's why she's the honorable mention, just because I didn't want it to be this basic and that simple. Because for the most part, if you could just talk about any tank doing their job in PvE, they're just frontlining like an Angelica, and we could go through almost every single frontline for any of the Wyverns, right? So it's mainly because she doesn't do that much outside of just being a Wyvern tank, and other units like that won't be included, and for some of the units that are high for debate. But now with that, let's get to the top 5, and this one's gonna be a little bit spicier. And now for number 5, we have none other than Arbiter Villagers. Now, before you get your pitchforks out and before you start saying King Blair, I've seen some Arbiter Villagers with insane gear, and yes, I agree with you. There are some Arbiter Villagers that have insane gear out there. But surprisingly, you can give Arbiter Villager full attack set and he will do his job incredibly. When I still was playing on my brother's side account, I just gave him the initial attack set that they give you for the game, and he got me all the way to like Challenger and Arena, and all the way in Guild Wars I was competing at a pretty decent level. Why? Because unlike other cleave unit DPSs, he doesn't really require setup. The fact that this ability just revives him to full and always guarantees him this S3 makes it a perfect candidate for just holding on to a big attack set. Now, of course, you should definitely invest more into your Arbiter Villagers. He definitely has a very high ceiling, that's why he's number 5. But yeah, he's not actually that hard to build if you're just using him at a low level. With just giving him the free attack sets, you can already use him in Arena to climb all the way to Challenger. You can already use him in defense. You can already use him in Guild Wars. You can already even use him in PvE, right? So he really doesn't require that much gear to actually do his job really well. So that's going to be Arbiter Villager. Yes, he has a massive ceiling. The units in this list do have a big ceiling, but for that early game potential, they will function, right? Versus if you look at a unit like, for example, Ravi requires way more gear to even function as a unit, right? So that's why Arbiter Villager is there at the number 5. Now, so number 4, we have a mage that may start seeing a little bit more play in the near future, but that is going to be none other than Champion Serato. The reason why Champion Serato is so easy to build is because there is a variety of builds on him, and B, his inherent job is done with the bare minimum stat line. His job is essentially to be a monster at countering control type units, right? That is what he's there to do in PvP. If you just give him okay bulk stats and okay offensive stats, you don't really need to give him speed. You don't need to give him FRS. You don't really have to give him effectiveness, right? With very few effectiveness, he can do his job quite well, right? And he doesn't even need 100% crit rate, right? So with a very okay build, just slap on a proof of valor on him, he will do his job extremely well. If you are using him for PvP, then you just give him more damage over the usual bunch of bulk, and again, he will do his job quite easily. Why? Because he's just there to counter debuff teams, right? You will mainly only see him in those situations. Now, of course, the better gear on your Champion Serato, the better he is at countering these other units. When you think about going against like a unit like Carrot, right? If you're going against a Carrot and your Champ C is not the tankiest in the planet and has like okay stats all across the board, he's still bouncing back burn debuff onto the Carrot and onto her allies, and then the mage artifact is doing all the work if you're using Lava Violin, or if you're using proof if you want to make him tankier so he doesn't get deleted one shot, right? So Champ C overall, surprisingly easy unit to build, even though he does a lot for your team. So I know some people may have picked him from the MLEO if they recall MLEO. He's actually not a bad hero to build. He can be a little bit harder if you want to go with really good builds. But for the most part, yeah, it's pretty easy. And the fact that you don't need to put immunity on even makes it easier for farming, because you can just slap any sets on him and he will probably do the job well. So that's going to be it for number 4. Now, number 3, we get to a unit that honestly, he's just good for all stages of the game. And I have seen people just put the health sets on him and have immense success with Crow. So Crow is actually one of the units I suggested you pick from the 5-star selector, and the reason is he does a ton. He scales amazing into a late game, but he already starts functioning at a low level with very, very easy gear, right? You can just give him the health sets, the free health sets, and you're probably gonna have a pretty decent Crow, right? Because at the end of the day, he doesn't need that much speed, right? There's a lot of people that run Crow at around 180, sometimes even 170 speed, right? 180 is standard. Even high level, some people use 180. 200 is when you have a very good fast crawl, and some people go all the way to 240. But for the most part, at 180, he's already doing his job, right? Then you also have the HP. You're giving him Quadra HP set. He's gonna have dummy amounts of HP. And if those pieces already have some FRS, if you get him to over 100 FRS, you're already immune to all the things that, for the most, not immune, but you're very resistant to a lot of the things that actually stop you. And the defense doesn't have to be that high, right? He's a unit that, at the end of the day, all he's there to do is set up defense buff and horse someone when you're low health, right? Which is why, even for early game players, you can really just slap on him 4 of those free sets, maybe an immunity piece if you really want, or just all 6 of the speed sets, none of the speed sets of the health sets, and he will do his job quite well for a unit, because he's going to be able to tank, and when he's low, he'll be able to S3. The only thing that might be a little harder will be the FRS, which is why he's not higher on this list, but for the most part, really, really good at what he does, right? A knight that is easy to use, easy to build, and honestly, just like everyone should get a crawl at some point, because he's just so fun to use with the horse, right? So a unit that has a high ceiling, but very, very easy to use early on. Now, for the top 2, these are units that honestly, if you count the ones we discussed before, these take even less effort. And that is going to be none other than Tama and Rowana. These units literally build themselves, right? It is so easy to build these units. You can give them super subpar gear and they'll work. I'll show you guys my Tama. She's like, okay. And that Tama has gotten me all the way to Abyss 110, right? And I'm a player, like, I could easily make a very strong Tama, but she's a queen of PvE because her kit is so good. All she needs is speed and HP and some effectiveness, right? That's it. That's it. That's all she needs. There's only 3 stats that you're really focusing on, and you don't. And with a speed set and speed boots, you already basically got the speed. If you get over like what 12k HP, you already got the HP percentage. You know, the higher the better, right? And it's just, she does her job so incredibly well with such subpar gear. There are so many times I look back at my Tama and I'm like, how the heck am I using you for every single PvE content and have yet to give you a proper set? So for sure, Tamarine is extremely dummy easy to build. She still does need 3 stats, which is just essentially the effectiveness, the health, and the speed. And then if you're trying to use her for higher level content and you want it to be more consistent, some people also will give her FRS. Now, this does not include her PvP build. If you're trying to build her for PvP, then she becomes a slightly harder unit to build. But for all PvE intents and purposes, a very simple Tamarine will work well. But now, at the number 1, we have the easiest unit to build in this game. So we talk about how Angelica, you just gave her HP sets, called it a day. Well, we have none other than Rowana. This unit, all she really needs is dummy HP for all PvE, right? That's really all she's there for. She's mostly there for this S2 passive. That's it, right? Anything else you give her is for you to be annoying, right? Some people gave her counter set, some people gave her FRS. That was just to be annoying, right? That's to make her more annoying. But at the end of the day, the real reason you're using her is for this passive, for all PvE content. You can literally just slap any type of gear and she'll work well, right? She is basically Angelica, but you can use her for a lot more content than just Wyvern. Extremely tanky, extremely hard to take out, very good starting stat line, right? Very, very good starting stat line. Does not need speed, right? Because you're there for the passive. All she needs is HP and defense, and FRS is a nice bonus, as well as speed. Again, it's just a nice bonus, right? All she needs is HP and defense, and she has those stats very, very maxed out. So again, Roana, arguably the easiest unit to build in this game. You slap a set on her and she'll work for PvE, she'll work for PvP, she works for a lot of different situations, and it's just crazy to me. But that is going to be all I have for the top 5. Now I will show my Tama so you guys can see. I literally use this Tama in every single PvE content, and it's a unit that I don't think she even has any level 90 gear. Right, it's just like random pieces I found and I'm like, I rolled okay, right? Let's just slap it on her. Try to get her FRS a little bit higher. But yeah, she just super dummy easy to build, right? So yeah, no level 90 gear, all levels like free gear, not even level 90, just like base pieces, purple pieces, free gear, right? And I use her for all content. She got me all the way to Abyss stage 110, right? And I could clear Abyss 110 with this exact same build that you guys see here. So yeah, that is going to be all I got for you guys today. And then for Roana too, if y'all wanted to see how easy this unit is to build, it's just all HP sets and an immunity set. And yeah, so it's just sets I got along the way, right? So just tank, right? That's all she really needed. This was a leftover piece that I just decided to give her. Actually, a really good piece, but I don't even use my Roana, and this is more than enough than she needs. But that is going to be all that I have for you guys today. I hope y'all enjoyed the video and enjoyed the easy units. If I missed a unit that you think is easier to build than one of these, let me know down in the comments. But that's all I got for you guys today, and I will see you next time. Peace!